The morning light filtered through the arched windows of the Morning Grace Café, casting warm patterns across the worn wooden floors. It was the week before Christmas, and the small cafe in downtown. Portland was decorated with garlands and twinkling, lights that gave everything a soft, golden glow. Daniel Harrison stood just inside the doorway, his daughter Sophie's small hand clasped firmly in his. He was a tall man in his early 40s, with dark hair just beginning to show threads of silver at the temples. He wore a charcoal suit that spoke of business meetings and boardrooms, though right now, at 7:30 in the morning, he felt more like a tired single father than a CEO. Sophie was 4 years old, with strawberry blonde curls that refused to stay in their ponytail and bright, blue eyes that took in everything with wonder. She clutched her teddy bear, Mr. Buttons, against her pink winter coat, looking around the cafe with cautious curiosity.
"Daddy, it's pretty in here,"
she whispered. "It is, sweetheart," Daniel agreed, scanning the crowded cafe. Every table seemed occupied with the morning rush of people grabbing coffee before work. Students bent over laptops, retirees reading newspapers. He felt his shoulders tense. They'd have to go somewhere else, and he was already running late. "Excuse me," a voice called out, gentle but clear. Daniel turned toward the sound. Near the window, at a small table with 2 chairs, sat a young woman in a wheelchair. She had blonde hair that fell in soft waves, past her shoulders, and was wearing a cream-colored sweater that seemed to catch the morning light. There was something about her face that struck him immediately, not just that she was beautiful, though she was, but that her expression held a particular kind of strength mixed with gentleness. "I saved this seat for you," she said, gesturing to the empty chair across from her. Daniel blinked, uncertain he'd heard correctly. "I'm sorry." The woman smiled, and it transformed her whole face. "You and your daughter. I've been watching you standing there looking worried. I have an extra chair, and honestly, I could use the company. If you'd like to join me, that is." Daniel hesitated. It was an unusual offer from a stranger, but something in her eyes, a genuine kindness without pity or judgment, made him nod slowly. "That's very generous," he said. "Are you sure?" "Completely sure," she said. "I'm Lily Morrison." "Daniel Harrison," he replied, guiding Sophie toward the table. "And this is my daughter, Sophie." Sophie peeked out from behind her father's leg, suddenly shy. Lily leaned forward slightly, her smile warm and encouraging.
"Hello, Sophie,"
Lily said softly. "Is that your teddy bear?" Sophie nodded, holding Mr. Buttons up for inspection. "He's wonderful," Lily said seriously. "What's his name?"
"Mr. Buttons,"
Sophie whispered. "That's a very distinguished name," Lily said. "I had a stuffed rabbit named Professor Carrots when I was your age." Sophie giggled at that, a sound that made Daniel's heart ease slightly. He helped his daughter into the empty chair, then settled into the one beside her. "Thank you," he said to Lily, meaning it. "Really? We've been trying to find a place to sit for the past 10 minutes. "The morning rush," Lily said with understanding. "I usually come early enough to beat it, but I overslept today. Some mornings are harder than others." There was something in the way she said it that made Daniel look at her more carefully. He noticed the slight shadows under her eyes, the way her hands rested carefully on the table, as if positioning them took conscious thought. A waitress appeared, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a ready smile. "Morning, Lily," she said warmly. "I see you've made new friends." "Hi, Margaret," Lily replied. "This is Daniel and Sophie. They're going to share my table today." "Wonderful," Margaret said. "What can I get for you folks?" Daniel ordered coffee and a hot chocolate for Sophie, along with some breakfast. When Margaret left, he turned back to Lily. "You're a regular here?" he asked. "For about 3 years now," Lily said. "Ever since I moved to this neighborhood. Margaret makes the best cinnamon rolls in Portland, and the coffee is excellent. Plus, I love the windows. You can watch the whole world go by." Daniel glanced out at the street, where people hurried past in their winter coats, carrying shopping bags and wrapped packages. It was true. There was something peaceful about observing the flow of life from this warm, protected space. "Do you come here often?" Lily asked, then laughed softly. That sounded like a terrible pickup line. "I just meant I haven't seen you before." Daniel smiled, surprising himself. "First time, actually. Sophie had a doctor's appointment nearby this morning, and I promised her hot chocolate afterward. Our usual place was closed for renovations. Well, I'm glad you found your way here, Lily said. She turned her attention to Sophie. So, Sophie, are you excited about Christmas? Sophie nodded enthusiastically, her shyness evaporating. I asked Santa for a dollhouse, a big one with lots of rooms, and maybe a little sister, but Daddy says that's probably not possible. Daniel felt his face flush slightly. We've had some complicated conversations about what Santa can and can't do, he said. Lily's expression was understanding, with no trace of the awkward pity he sometimes encountered when people realized he was a single parent. Santa does have his limitations, she agreed solemnly to Sophie. But I bet he'll do his very best. Margaret returned with their orders, and for a few moments, they were occupied with stirring coffee and making sure Sophie's hot chocolate wasn't too hot. Daniel found himself relaxing in a way he rarely did with strangers. What about you? He asked Lily. Are you looking forward to Christmas? Something flickered across Lily's face. There and gone so quickly he almost missed it. I am, she said. Though I have to admit the holidays can be complicated. Beautiful but complicated. I understand that, Daniel said quietly. Their eyes met, and in that moment, there was a recognition between them. Two people who carried their own private difficulties, who understood that life wasn't always simple or easy, but who were trying their best nonetheless. Daddy has to work a lot, Sophie announced, swinging her legs under the chair. But he promised we'd decorate our tree this weekend. That sounds wonderful, Lily said. What kind of ornaments do you have? As Sophie launched into an enthusiastic description of their ornament collection, Daniel watched Lily listen with genuine interest, asking questions, responding to Sophie's rambling stories with patience and warmth. There was something about the way she engaged with his daughter that touched him deeply. After a while, Sophie became absorbed in her coloring book, which Daniel always carried in his bag for moments like this. He and Lily fell into easier conversation. So what do you do, Daniel? Lily asked. Besides being Sophie's dad, which I'm guessing is a full-time job. It definitely is, Daniel said with a slight smile. I work in business management. I run a company that develops sustainable building materials. It's demanding. He didn't mention that he was the CEO, that Harrison Industries was one of the most successful green technology companies in the Pacific Northwest. He'd learned over the years that leading with his position often changed how people interacted with him, and he was enjoying this simple, genuine conversation. That sounds important, Lily said. The sustainability part, I mean. We need more people working on those solutions. What about you? Daniel asked. What do you do? I'm a writer, Lily said. Freelance, mostly articles and essays. Some short fiction. I used to work for a magazine, but I've been freelance for the past 2 years. It gives me more flexibility. To work from home? Daniel guessed. Partly that, Lily admitted. And partly because after my accident, I needed a different kind of schedule. Some days are better than others physically. Working from home lets me adapt to that. Daniel appreciated her directness. If you don't mind my asking, how long ago was your accident? 3 years, Lily said. Car accident on the interstate. A truck driver fell asleep at the wheel and crossed the median. My spine was damaged in the collision. I spent 8 months in rehabilitation, learning how to navigate life in a new way. I'm sorry, Daniel said and meant it. Lily shook her head gently. Thank you, but I'm okay with it now. Well, most days I am. It took time to accept that my life was going to be different than I'd planned. But in some ways, it taught me what really matters. It stripped away a lot of the superficial concerns I used to have. Daniel nodded slowly. I think I understand that. Not from the same experience, but my wife died 2 years ago. Cancer. And afterward, everything changed. All the things I thought were important just weren't anymore. The only thing that mattered was Sophie and making sure she was okay. I'm so sorry, Lily said softly, and her empathy was genuine, uncomplicated by awkwardness. That must have been incredibly difficult. It was, Daniel admitted. It still is in some ways, but we're managing. We have good days and hard days, and we just take it one step at a time. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the noise of the cafe flowing around them. Sophie looked up from her coloring book. Daddy, can I have a cinnamon roll? The lady said they're the best in Portland. Daniel glanced at Lily, who smiled. Margaret wasn't exaggerating. They really are amazing. "One cinnamon roll coming up," Daniel said, signaling to Margaret. As Sophie enjoyed her treat, Daniel found himself telling Lily more about his life than he'd told anyone in months. About the challenges of balancing work with single parenthood. About Sophie's fears and joys. About his own struggles with loneliness and exhaustion. Lily listened without judgment, occasionally sharing her own experiences. She told him about her family, loving but often overprotective, struggling with their own fears about her independence. She told him about the joy she found in small things now, how her perspective on life had fundamentally shifted after her accident. "I used to think I needed grand adventures," Lily said. "I had this whole plan. I was going to travel the world, have this exciting career as a foreign correspondent, live this bold, fearless life. And then everything changed in an instant. At first, I was angry about what I'd lost. But gradually, I started to appreciate what I still had. Mornings like this in a cafe with good coffee and good company. The satisfaction of writing something that matters. Simple moments of connection." Daniel looked at her with admiration. "That's a hard-won wisdom." "So is yours," Lily countered. "Raising a daughter on your own, keeping her world stable and safe after such a tremendous loss. That takes incredible strength. Most days I feel like I'm barely holding it together," Daniel confessed.
I think that's true for most of us,
Lily said gently. "We're all just doing our best." The morning stretched on, and Daniel realized with surprise that more than an hour had passed. He glanced at his watch and felt a pang of reluctance. "I should probably get Sophie home," he said. "I promised my sister I'd drop her off before I head to the office." Lily nodded, though he thought he saw a flicker of disappointment in her eyes. "Of course, I should do some work myself." They stood, and Daniel helped Sophie back into her coat. As they prepared to leave, he hesitated. "Lily," he said, "I know this is forward, but could I see you again? Maybe we could meet here another morning? I really enjoyed talking with you." Lily's face lit up with a smile that made something warm bloom in Daniel's chest. "I'd like that very much. I'm here most weekday mornings around 7. I'd love to see you both again." "We'll be here," Daniel promised. He paused, then added, "Thank you for the seat, for the conversation, for being so kind to Sophie. It meant a lot." "The pleasure was entirely mine," Lily said, and he could tell she meant it. As they left the cafe, Sophie waved enthusiastically at Lily through the window. Lily waved back, and Daniel felt something shift in his chest. A lightness he hadn't experienced in a very long time. Over the following weeks, meeting Lily at the Morning Grace Café became a cherished routine. 3 or 4 mornings a week, Daniel and Sophie would arrive to find Lily already at her usual table by the window, a seat saved for them. They'd share breakfast, conversation flowing easily between adult topics when Sophie was occupied with her coloring books and stories about Sophie's latest adventures when she demanded their attention. Daniel learned more about Lily's life. She lived alone in a small apartment 2 blocks from the cafe, fiercely independent despite her family's well-meaning attempts to convince her to move back home. She wrote articles about disability rights, about accessible design, about the often invisible challenges people with disabilities faced in navigating a world not built for them. "It's important work," she told Daniel one morning. "Not just for me, but for everyone. Because disability isn't some separate category of human experience. It's part of the spectrum of human life. Most people, if they live long enough, will experience disability in some form. We should be building a world that works for everyone." Daniel found himself thinking about her words. Long after their conversations ended, he started noticing things he'd never paid attention to before: the lack of ramps in certain buildings, the narrow doorways, the assumptions built into everyday spaces and systems. He also found himself thinking about Lily herself, about the way she laughed at Sophie's silly jokes, genuinely delighted, about the thoughtful questions she asked, really listening to the answers, about the strength it must take to navigate her daily life with grace and good humor, even on the hard days when she'd mention in passing that her pain levels were high or her fatigue was overwhelming. Sophie, for her part, had clearly decided that Lily was wonderful. She'd ask about Miss Lily on mornings when they couldn't make it to the cafe and would save drawings to show her at their next meeting. One morning in mid-December, Daniel arrived at the cafe without Sophie. Lily looked up in surprise when she saw him alone. "No Sophie today?" she asked, though her smile was warm. She's with my sister, Daniel explained, settling into his usual chair. They're making Christmas cookies. I was hoping to talk with you. Just us. Something flickered in Lily's eyes. Anticipation, maybe, or nervousness. Of course. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, Daniel assured her. He paused, gathering his thoughts. I've been thinking about something. Actually, I've been thinking about it for a while now, and I wanted to be honest with you. Lily waited, her expression attentive. These mornings with you, Daniel continued, they've become the best part of my day, not just for Sophie, though I know she adores you, but for me. I look forward to seeing you, to talking with you, to just being around you. You make me feel more like myself than I have in years, more hopeful, more alive. He watched her face carefully, trying to gauge her reaction. Her eyes had grown bright, and a soft smile was forming at the corners of her mouth. I feel the same way, Lily said softly. These mornings have meant more to me than I can easily express. You and Sophie have brought so much light into my life. Daniel felt relief wash over him, followed immediately by nervousness about what he wanted to say next. I'd like to see you outside of the cafe, he said, if you're comfortable with that. Maybe dinner? Or we could go somewhere Sophie would enjoy too. I don't want to move too fast. And I understand if you need time to think about it, but I wanted you to know that my feelings for you are more than friendship. Lily reached across the table and took his hand. Her fingers were warm and strong. I'd love that, she said simply. I'd love to spend more time with you, with both of you. The smile that broke across Daniel's face was like sunshine. Really? Really? Lily confirmed, laughing softly. Daniel, you must know how special you are. How rare it is to meet someone who sees me, really sees me, not just my wheelchair, not just my limitations, but all of me. You've never treated me with pity or awkwardness. You've just been real, present, kind. That's because you're remarkable, Daniel said honestly. Your disability is part of your experience, but it's not all of who you are. You're brilliant and funny and compassionate and strong. You're an amazing writer from what I've read of your work. You're wonderful with Sophie. And you're beautiful. Though I'm not sure I'm supposed to say that yet. Lily's cheeks flushed pink. You can definitely say that, she said, her eyes sparkling with humor. In fact, please feel free to say it often. They both laughed, and the tension dissolved into warmth and possibility. They planned their first official date for that weekend. Daniel arranged for his sister to watch Sophie, wanting his first evening alone with Lily to be just the two of them. He picked her up from her apartment, navigating the careful logistics of helping her into his car while respecting her independence and capability. He'd chosen a restaurant that Lily had mentioned wanting to try, and had called ahead to ensure it was fully accessible. When they arrived, he was relieved to see that the host had prepared a table that would work perfectly, with space for Lily's wheelchair and a comfortable, dignified setup. Over dinner, their conversation flowed as easily as it did in the cafe, but with an added dimension of intimacy. They talked about their hopes and fears, about what they wanted from life going forward. I want to be honest with you about something, Lily said at one point, setting down her fork. Dating with a disability isn't complicated. Some people see the wheelchair before they see me. Some are attracted to what they perceive as vulnerability, which is its own kind of problem. And some genuinely care but get scared when they understand the reality, the medical needs, the accessibility challenges, the fact that some days my body doesn't cooperate no matter how much I will it to. She took a breath, meeting his eyes steadily. I need you to know what you're potentially signing up for. I have good days and bad days. I need help with some things, though I'm fiercely independent about others. My medical situation could change. There might be more surgeries, more complications. It's not a simple path. Daniel listened carefully, then reached across the table to take her hand. Lily, life isn't simple for anyone. I'm a widower with a 4-year-old daughter and a demanding job. I have my own complications. Sophie still has nightmares sometimes about losing her mother. She worries that something will happen to me too. I work too much because I'm terrified of not providing well enough for her future. I have grief I'm still processing, trauma I'm still working through. He squeezed her hand gently. The question isn't whether there are complications. The question is whether we want to navigate them together. And I do, very much. If you do. Lily's eyes were bright with unshed tears. I do. she said softly. I really do. As Christmas approached,